To Professor Heinzman, from your student over in English 103. It's 5:25 in the evening. It is it's October 8th, 2023. Sunday night, I'm still working on the essay. Professor, I'm making modifications a great deal because what happened this past weekend's got to be included in the thing, and it's going to get political. It's going to get ugly. Have you seen? Please tell me you have. You know the essay I'm working on, and I have to expand it. I was going to make it apolitical at this point over here, but going over history, and not just for the one topic. I have to I had to make this inclusive. I'm making it a hell of a long write up here. I'm still drafting it out. And then I gotta fine tune it. I mean, yeah, I am including the material necessary for the essay. But for 2 nights straight, I've been watching the news. And I've been doing a hell of a lot of videos on YouTube over this damn thing. Let's just say my PTSD is getting a flare up. Major. Miss H, you remember the 90s? You sure as hell probably remember a little bit earlier than that. My mother was watching it back in the 60s concerning about this one strip of continent. Actually, yeah, this strip of landmass been owned by other countries, and these people want to decide their own future. I gotta turn this damn thing down or off. This is just driving me crazy. I'll get the recap at 6. But for right now, I just gotta talk about this one, okay? Forgive me for being lengthy on this one. Back in the 60s, Ma was watching the news concerning about the Vietnam War. I was still much of a kid. I was born in '66. You don't know anything during those days. You got no context, nothing in there. You got nothing in the brain. You're newborn. What do you know? My mother couldn't talk about it. Not even all her life. I guess it was something we all had to experience and go through. Then we had well, what the hell did we have? We didn't have any wars during that time. At least not the United States, but other countries had. Israeli going after Egypt. How about that in the 70s? Did that affect me? Nope. Didn't affect me a bit. I watched it. Didn't understand it. Israel? What was that? Egypt? What was that? They could show me something on a geographic book, and I had brought out a map book. We had an old map book a long time ago. That was wonderful. I love that damn thing. I love that atlas. I could look up a country. I could look up a state and get factual information about it. It may have been old, but man, it was cool. Israel going after Egypt. And Carter steps in, gets on Sadat and Menachem Begin to back off, sign a peace treaty with each other. Gotta hand it to old President Carter. The only major thing I liked. I didn't understand about the gas or the economy or anything else, but that stuck in my head. And then there was the assassinations of Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin in their own countries. Over their head. Iran being invaded by numbnuts, terrorists, religious fanatics, and turned the whole country into a nut farm. Still didn't occur to me that this was going to be a continuing thing down my life. And then what do we get into? We get into the 90s. We get into Iraq, taken over by a strongman, or actually he was already taken over in the 80s. He's just building up his power in the power base. We also had Libya, Gaddafi, schmuck. Assad, Syria, another schmuck. Of course, good old Putin. No, Putin wasn't there. We still had, oh God, was it Yeltsin? Not Yeltsin. We didn't have Gorbachev during those days. I need a scorecard to keep track of all these damn assholes. Forgive me. Numbnutses. But I realized that Russia was invading Afghanistan in the 80s. It stayed several years, got their ass kicked. Iran Contra arms for the dealers and stuff like that. A lot of stuff we missed. I tell you, we really missed a great deal of it. Growing up as a teenager, I watched it. Didn't understand one damn thing, but trying to understand it. Listening to the politicians, listening to the media pundits. A lot of things you can listen to and learn about, I'll tell you that much. It's not until the 90s kicked. You'll notice the picture in the background I have in the cabinet. Yeah, every time I do my videos, this is my camera angle. Ma back in 2013, David back in 2018. They're still up in the upper tier there. So, 1990, my brother was, he had certain special skills from the Navy that still required his services. When Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. 3 weeks without my brother. There's a long story concerning about family history. Somewhere in my videos I've talked a long time about it. Maybe I should do a refresher on that one. But for 3 weeks he was over there and I was at another job. Working retail hell and watching this on television. What the hell was going on? I wonder if he's coming back home alive, safe and sound. And after the war was over, about a week or two, he comes back home. Somewhat changed, somewhat more sore than he was. Well, when you specialize in the military, they need it. I didn't realize how much war would affect the damn family. Ma was on pins and needles. I was on pins and needles, and I still couldn't deal with it. I was grateful he was back home. And rest up, debrief, recoup. And he came back home. One piece. My brother told me something he had done back in the 80s that made him more decrepit, that followed him throughout his lifetime. One particular operation he came back from, and was just resting up before all hell broke loose in Lebanon. Yeah, he was there. He was there. Shrapnel in the back. Never had it removed. Never. Maybe somewhere in the ashes I still probably have pieces of that shrapnel in there, or maybe they melted already. There was a lot of hot flash just to take care of a damn human body. And I'm not sifting through it either. I'm just leaving it as is. I'm not touching them again. The 90s had a hell of an effect, and so did the new century. He wasn't going. He was too damn injured and ill. Screwed up both knees while in civilian, so he wasn't going anywhere. But he did lose people. He knew. Well, we had that day hitting. Everything else in my life changed. I didn't know how to view anything else but in one particular light. Pure terror. Every time there was an airplane flying by, I had to make sure the damn thing was going to run into us. If I was in a tall enough building, I want to stay down below and ready to run out. PTSD will do that to you, I'll tell you. PTSD will do that to you. Now we're coming into, we go through the war situation with Iraq and Afghanistan trying to find a terrorist and nail their asses, and then 20 years later, it's out. We're out, and we're dealing with the aftermath. Seeing images on the television should not be affecting me, but it is. I see the situation happening over in Israel, and I'm thinking, oh my God, we're happening it. We're going to have it, aren't we? It's not the people reacting out here in the States. I'm not afraid of another 9/11 at this point over here, but I'll admit they can probably terrify the living crap out of me. But seeing the images, what happens the past couple of days in Israel. Hamas, every once in a while, would do a snake attack in Israel, and we'd have a 2 or 3, 4 night cycle, and after that, it dies down. This, they kept, someone else's mud, they kept calling it Israel's 9/11. They only got so many people in there, and they're losing people left and right. They've got, 400 dead or missing? That's my neighbor's dog, one of the neighbors in his apartment complex. So yeah, I had to talk about this thing. I had to write something about it and incorporate it into my essay. Because the feeling of terror looking at this thing, I think I had to. I had to, Professor. I mean, I already got the necessary academia information concerning about the topic I've got right now as it is. And I'm incorporating it, what I understand, besides the personal accounts of what it is. So I got to put the damn thing together here. This is crucial. Professor, I'm seeing insanity right before my eyes. You were talking about weasel words, right? Weasel words in different forms and functions. We studied this in the book. Try having the press constantly repeating this. You're talking about people's reactions left and right. We talk about certain things that people want to get to others. I was listening to the politics this morning. I was listening to a few stations I listened to. ABC 7 this week with George Stephanopoulos. I'd get onto Velshi. I'd get onto something else on CNN, MSNBC. Just to get the political stuff. But then they started happening more and more of the Israeli. And I'm like, I'm shaking still on the inside. A surprise attack that scares the hell out of people watching this stuff. And I'm watching some of the news organizations reacting to what was happening out there, describing what happened out there. The fear and terror that people felt when you had terrorists running around. How would this be? How would this be part of my essays? I still got to find the words to it. I don't know if alcoholism would have been a hell of a lot better, but this one I felt like I was more compelled to do it. But this is just giving me way, way too much food for thought at this point. Did you want a short essay or did you want a book out of this thing? I mean, that's a hell of a question to ask, isn't it? Hope you enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Wednesday.